when you reach out in a transactional way for a one-off post, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a one-off post. You're not going to get a genuine, authentic lover of your product. You're not going to get a genuine brand ambassador. When you seed product, no strings attached, you're identifying influencers that are authentic lovers of your product. And that lends itself to people posting like this many times. Incredible value.
Taylor, welcome to Meld, man. I'm so excited to have you here.
Josh, appreciate you having me, man. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, man. As soon as we first got connected on Twitter and you were showing me all the amazing stuff you're doing around influencer marketing, I just knew that you're going to be, like, at least for me, like the go-to guy, especially seeing all your Twitter threads and everything. So, man, thank you so much for being here and sharing your experience.
I appreciate you saying that, man. Yeah, my partner and I, Cody, first and foremost, we want to be over transparent with what it is we do and how we do it. Just because we want to see people get wins in the space, whether it's with us or it's on their own internally. That's always the goal. There's too many people talking about influencer marketing that are supposedly thought leaders and guides, but a lot of it's probably the wrong information and misguides people at times. So we want to make sure people, if they take a swing, they get a single at least.
Yeah, man. So I would love for you to kind of explain exactly what Kynship is, how you started the company, and maybe a little bit of your background in marketing before that, because I know you were at a pretty big agency before that. Maybe you can speak about that a bit before we get into the meat of things.
Yeah. Well, my partner and I, Cody, launched Kynship 2.5 years ago in partnership with a third partner, Common Thread Collective, where you just kind of alluded to it as well. They're a growth agency where I previously worked, spearheaded the influence department there as well. Prior to Common Thread Collective, I was at an NFL marketing agency called Athletes First. They represent guys like Clay Matthews, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson. Think State Farm commercials and Aaron Rodgers. Like that was my position prior to Common Thread Collective. And then before that, I launched a company called Tonight in college at UCLA with one of my teammates that actually was P. Diddy's son, Justin Combs, and another teammate. And that was my first touch point with the power of influencer marketing. But my entire work experience has been within the space of influencer marketing almost the last 10 years. But yeah, Cody and I, my partner, launched Kynship 2.5 years ago, influencer marketing agency.
That's awesome, man. Okay, I want to dig back into that story you kind of just told about your teammate. So that's football, right? You played football at UCLA. And I want to hear a little bit more about that. I want to hear about that story. Like what was your first foray into influencer marketing? How did you first find out about the power of it?
Yeah. I mean, typical college story. I mean, people that start a business, I would say it was an events company, AKA a party. So we would sell brand endorsements, placements, sponsorships, ticket sales. But it was just interesting because literally every sale was off the backs of Justin just posting on his Instagram or on one of his social media platforms. And there was literally no other marketing channel. And I wasn't some savvy business owner by any means. It was just, wow, this is intriguing. And it works like crazy. Now the social algorithms are incredibly different from what they were back then. And so we probably would not have been able to have that same level of success by doing the same things today and within the current landscape. But nonetheless, it's what intrigued me with the space and what kept me going into influencer marketing to this present day, without a doubt.
That's awesome, man. So for those kind of, they know a little bit about influencer marketing. I'm sure everyone listening has been influenced in one way or another on social media, and they know about it. And maybe some people even have a bad taste in their mouth of like influencers and that whole scene. So maybe kind of explain what exactly influencer marketing is before we get into things.
Yeah, I mean, influencer marketing is an incredible way. I mean, the two ways that we really leverage and work with influencers, and the reasons why, is for mass content creation. There's a massive arbitrage opportunity around content creation with influencers. You can get a ton of it. It's top performing content across all distribution channels, and you can get it in a very cost effective way. So content creation is one. And then two, mass distribution, mass organic distribution. Paid media, ever since the iOS 14 update, is becoming less. Many brands were over-indexed on paid media, specifically Facebook. And with that being less of a viable channel, as it once was, you need to build your organic distribution channels out. And influencer marketing is a massive one, where content creation, as one, you can create this organic flywheel that lends itself to content creation on a consistent basis, one. And then two, you can have mass organic distribution from these individuals that have clout over your target demographic. So very powerful, two birds, one stone type of thing as an acquisition channel.
Okay, that's awesome. So what I'm kind of hearing is you're giving them access to your product or solution, whatever it is, so they can post it online. So you're getting the first hit of like, okay, like that they're going to distribute it to however tens of thousands or whatever it is, could be up to millions. Maybe we can get into like the micro influencer versus like macro influencers, or these like full on celebrities, the differences between those. And then people are seeing it already. Maybe they swipe up if it's Instagram, maybe they click on it. And then you're also going to take their content and use that for paid ads, right? So that will be your content that you use to distribute. So is that sort of the playbook? Am I kind of hitting on that right? Is there something else missing in there? Is there a larger space to be seen?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to take your listeners through our exact process, but from a high level, 100%, you're hitting on the head of the nail. There's nitty-gritty details within the process, like seeding, no strings attached. Like, what does that mean? And what does that lend itself to? I would love to take them through that, because at the end of the day, Josh, from this segment, I do want people that are listening to have an actionable takeaway to go try this internally and get a win for themselves. So if we want to get specific, I know we want to go through the actual platforms today as well, but what the process entails to begin with to get mass distribution from influencers and get mass content creation, would be happy to do so.
Let's do it, man. Let's jump right into this masterclass.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Well, I always say initially, and please, Josh, stop me at any point. You know me, I can go down some rabbit holes. So please ask questions along the way for your listeners too. But first and foremost, like budget, what should I budget for something like this? What I would say, and what we typically say, is take 2% of your annual revenue and dedicate that to what we call as influencer seeding. So if you're a brand with 1 million, 2% of 1 million, 200,000, 20,000, $20,000 dedicated to seeding at this point. Let's say your product the COGS of your product is $10. And again, just do the math, apply the math here. I'm just giving you the formula. $20,000 divided by 10 at that point, $10 COGS of your product, you're looking at 2,000 products. You can seed 2,000 products over the course of the year. Divide that by 12, let's just say 10. For purposes of this example, you have 200 products per month to send out to influencers through seeding. Okay, so what is seeding? I've said seeding a lot. Budget-wise, that's how you get to it. If it's $1 million company, you have about 200 products to send out per month. So influencer seeding, our process here, it's like gifting, but not. We're sending out products, not gifting, to allude to the difference here. Gifting products and gifting programs lends itself to a very transactional, philosophical strategy of influencer marketing. So Josh, I'll gift you this so long as you post for me. I will gift you this so long as you do. It's a transactional relationship being built from the jump, where seeding, what we call seeding, it's no strings attached. So basically, we're reaching out to influencers that we identify saying, hey, Josh, we think you're a great brand fit. We absolutely love the content you consistently put out. We think you'd love our product. And we want to send it to you, no strings attached. And what we mean by that is we have no expectation of you to post whatsoever. Just send us your address. We'll get this right out to you. So incredibly different message, and use that verbatim. Add a one-liner about your brand amidst that message. Keep it short and sweet, just a one-liner. Insert that into that message. Literally go back, listen to it, and just insert that one-liner, and you can use that, repurpose it. It works incredibly well. But as you'll see, that's incredibly different than, hey, we'll send you this product in exchange for a post. Very transactional, very spammy. And it's what everyone else really does. You don't stand out in any sort of way, where this message is a breath of fresh air to these individuals, and you're starting that relationship in a way that gives a great first impression of you and your brand and makes you stand out. And so even though, again, once this all sounds great, right? We're building great relationships with these influencers through seeding, but we do have expectations. And so expectations wise, what we typically see in order to send out 200 products, just to go back to that number, if you're $1 million brand, hypothetical example, we see 20% of the influencers that we reach out to with that message that I just said, end up opting in to receive product. So if you want to see 200 products be sent out in a month, what does that mean? You need to reach out to 1,000 influencers that month to get that 20% minimum opt-in rate. And that's what we see at a minimum. So once you get to 200, if that's what you only have allocated, you can just say, hey, we'll seed you next month, whatever it is. You can just save them for the following month. But typically, conservatively estimate that you'll need to reach out to 1,000 influencers. And then out of those 200 influencers that you sent product to in that month, again, going back to, even though we're saying we want to send you this product, no strings attached, we have no expectation, we do have an expectation. And what we see come to life typically is 30% of those individuals that we send product to end up posting free of cost, absolutely free of cost. And then on average, they post 2 to 3 pieces of media each. So out of 200 influencers that we send product to, 30%, 60 influencers, 2 to 3 assets each. What do we got here? 120 to 180 assets, unique
That's
top
awesome.
performing pieces of IGC. And so basically we honestly say, Josh, like the influencer pay for post model is dead. Why? It's a clickbaity line for sure. But if you went to any influencer marketing agency in the world for 60 influencers posting 120 to 180 assets, you're looking at least a minimum of 60K, at least. And you just got all of that if you do this internally for the cost of sending out 200 products at a $10 COG. So $2,000 instead of $60,000. You saved $58,000. And that's on the organic side. Now, what would, 120 to 180 assets cost for content to repurpose it into your paid media efforts, where creative is utmost importance right now, to counteract the iOS 14 updates. Creative. You just got 120 to 180 new assets to then repurpose. So you need to make sure you have usage rights, though. I do want to harp on this. I don't want to miss that point because it is super important, becoming more and more of a thing. When influencers end up posting their content, we're following up with them with a message that says, hey, Josh, so glad you loved the gift we sent you, so much so you were willing to share this content with your audience. Hey, we'd love to share this content with our audiences as well. Can we have the rights to do so via organic and paid social for 30 days? We say 30 days specifically. It's way less aggressive than in perpetuity. When you say perpetuity, those red flags go up, like, no, why, no way. So we're asking for 30 days, and that's plenty of time to test that content to paid media, see what works, and then go back to the individuals, whose content actually ended up crushing it for you. And then you won't have to pay anybody any more than $150 to $500. And, obviously that content has performed way more worth than what you're actually paying for it at that point after 30 days of paid media. But
that's awesome.
A lot there. I know I word vomited on your listeners, but again, I want to give actionable takeaways here to provide them with as much value as possible.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I think like you said, I want people to be able to walk away from this. Maybe they're even listening to this right now, or they're watching the YouTube version with some of the screen sharing we'll be doing in a minute, where they can actually follow along. They can have an action to actually go ahead and do this themselves. Of course, they can always hire help. And, you guys are obviously probably key people for that. But I think that's a huge thing where it's at least give them the quick win to get a taste of this, of how this can actually work. And then there's people out there that can help scale those efforts if you don't want to do it in-house. But I love the idea of people being able to have a quick win. There's something actionable here, and they're going to get something out of this right away.
100%. And you don't need to start with sending out 200 products. Put our math and put our formula to the test. If you want to send out, 10 products to start, reach out to 50, because again, 20% end up opting in to receive the gift, and then 30% end up posting. So out of 10, 3 people would end up posting, 2 to 3 assets each, 6 to 9 assets.
Totally. And then how do you make sure that they are going to post it? Especially when you're working with smaller numbers like that, because you just said, you don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be transactional. You don't even want to say, hey, please post this. It's just a matter of giving it away. How do you make sure that they're actually going to post it and you're going to have some good content to use?
Well, we can't make sure because it would negate the philosophy. I want to say that because you want this to be no strings attached as much as possible. And so when you do that and you lean into that, you just see, again, these are the numbers that we just see come to life. A minimum of 30% of these influencers end up posting. But how can you make this how can you make this even a greater impression outside of just reaching out with that initial message where you stand out amidst the crowd? Not only do you reach out in this way, but two, unboxing experience is incredibly important. So making sure you have an unboxing experience built out, because one, it just, again, adds to that impression that you're leaving on this individual. By packaging it with care, you're telling this individual, hey, we love what you're all about. We care about what we're putting in front of you, and we want to make this as unique, custom experience as possible for you specifically. So creating an unboxing experience, creating a seating card within that unboxing experience as well. The seating card is kind of an inception, really. It's an indirect way of putting a creative brief in front of them without saying, hey, here's your creative brief. But like, hey, that seating card is going to say things about you, your brand, and this product that you would want them to say if they were to post about you, without saying, hey, here's what to say, here's your talking points, here's what to post. So you stick to that theme of no strings attached, and you lean into that while telling them who you are, what you're about, and spoon feeding those talking points without saying they're talking points at the end of the day. And a lot of the time, you see these individuals within 2 to 3 days of receiving the gift that we're seeding them, end up posting. And if they don't, we typically send them a message that serves as a nudge. If they've gotten the gift, it's been like a week, we say, hey, saw that the gift was delivered. We just wanted to check in and hope you're enjoying it. And so it's just like giving them a nudge, like, hey, hope you're thinking about us, hope you enjoyed this. And it can lend itself to, because sometimes, they haven't opened it yet. And then like, oh yeah, I've appreciated these guys. So there's a lot of psychology in it. A lot of the times, if you just start these relationships in the right way, these people that actually cost $1,000 do a post and not even grant usage rights are all of a sudden just doing it all for free.
That's awesome. And you're right. It's the psychology behind it. It's just like coming at it with a win-win, just a gifting mindset, and not being like, hey, like, we're doing this because we want you to post. It's like, if they get it and they enjoy it, like, that's at least enough. But if they do, that's like an added bonus. Like, let's just make this thing happen. And I love that. I love having that mindset. It's not too like, sleazy marketing. It's not like sleazy like advertising.
Which is what influencer marketing is known for.
Exactly.
And these influencers are used to just feeling exploited, used to feeling taken advantage of, used to feeling like they're not in the know of what's going on. Because a lot of these people, they're not lawyers, but they're going into a world where they need to negotiate rates, negotiate contracts. And so they are going to be kind of outmanned, outgunned, and feel that way and feel isolated. So if you just come alongside them and start relationships in a very relational way, that is not gimme, it's I'm going to give this to you. Start by giving and not asking. That relationship will lend itself to a lot more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I have a couple questions here that I'm sure some people listening might have is like, obviously, how do you measure the ROI of these efforts? What are some of the tools involved to make this easier? How do you go out and find the right influencers? So there's a lot of these things. Maybe this makes more sense where you can kind of walk us through that. And then we can have any outstanding questions that I have after you kind of go through the whole process. So people have a little bit more context as to what this process looks like. What is that end-to-end process?
Yeah, great question. I'll start with the ROI and how to measure success and take this one question at a time. So I guess I'll start with what our agency typically does, just to give you the numbers that our agency typically does. We typically reach out to 500 influencers. So if you go by our numbers again, 20%, we typically send out, 100 products per month at a minimum, like I'm saying. And then we end up seeing 30 influencers at a minimum post 60 to 90, 2 to 3 assets each. So 60 to 90 in total. And so how can we think about the ROI on this? So we're not providing them with links. UTM links, we're not tracking sales on the organic side, because again, that would negate the entire philosophy of no strings attached. The minute you give them that link, the minute you track sales, they're like, wait, was it just a gimmick that you said this is no strings attached? Yes, it would look like that, and it would be a gimmick at that point. So how to think about, though, 30 posts 30 influencers posting 60 to 90 assets on the organic side, and the value of that. How you can break it down is, let's say, you are right in the middle. You got 75 posts between 60 to 90. And then on average, let's say the influencer had 50,000 followers. Let's just say, hypothetically, 50,000 times 75 posts, 3.75 million. That's how many people you're getting your content in front of. Let's say a 1% click-through rate, pretty conservative, especially with influencers, I would say. You're looking at 37,500, website visits. 1% conversion rate, you're looking at, and again, pretty conservative. I would hope the product and the influencers we're working with can convert people at a better rate than 1% conversion rate. You're looking at 375 purchases. And so if you're working with, let's go back to the hypothetical of that $10 COG. If you have that's 33% of your AOV, and let's say your AOV is $30. $30 times 375 purchases, you got a return of over 9-10K at that point, without running the math in my head. And then you got that for $2,000, and that's the organic side. So the value there within this hypothetical, pretty conservative scenario, you get your money back plenty on the organic side. But then what are 60 to 90 unique assets worth to you and your business? Like, people pay absurd amount of monies to content studio shoots, for 5 unique, what themed content, like 60-second themed pieces of content turned into 30 to 40 different iterations. This is 60 to 90 unique assets that you can create 100 plus, 150 plus iterations off of. So what is that content worth to you and your business as well? So value wise, I would just determine if this was a success. If you get the deliverables, I'm saying. So if you get 30, if you reach out to 500 influencers, you get 20% opt-in to send your product out to 100. And if you get 30% of those influencers posting 2 to 3 pieces of media each, if you get those deliverables, this is a success, right? Because you get all that organic, and then you get all that content as well to then repurpose. The thing you have to keep in mind with who you are identifying, you want to identify, and we'll get into this as well, I'm sure, but video content creators. And so you want to identify people that are posting a lot of video content, are doing it well, because you want a majority of this content that you're getting on the back end that's being posted to be video. It just performs much better organically as well as in paid media. But again, we can expand upon that a little more as we progress here. But that's how I would view, was this a success? Base it on, are you getting these deliverables that we're alluding to right now?
Okay, that's fantastic. That totally answers it. It seems like you should really be measuring the ROI on the assets you're getting back, because you'd be paying much more than that. All the organic sales are just icing on the cake.
Cherries. But it is, super valuable though, at the end of the day. As you heard, your product, it's a 5X on the organic side. If, you go back to the hypothetical I alluded to in the beginning, like a $10 COG, you send out, actually it'd be a 10X. If you send out 100 products and got 30 influencers, 60, 90 assets. But yeah, there's a lot of value on the organic side. You just can't track it the way you can track content being repurposed into like a Facebook ad account, where you can see live performance and numbers associated with it.
Right, but I'm sure you'll know. You'll be like, okay, like we're getting a lot more sales. Like it's going to be you'll kind of know what you're doing. And maybe before we do jump right into the process, what kind of products, industries, maybe even services, like do services even work with this? Like what do you see actually works really well with influencer marketing right now?
Yeah, physical products. You want to actually be sending something out to the influencer. And so, honestly, this works across the board in any industry. We've seen, obviously, fitness products worked incredibly well during COVID when at-home fitness was blowing up. But any brand, any product for, women between the ages of 25 and 40, that's an incredible space. So any cosmetic, any beauty product, anything along those lines. But anything that's really a physical product that has your COGS under $40, because at the end of the day, that's what you have to think about. Like, I get the people that come back with, well, my COGS are like $1,000. Like, how am I supposed to send out 100 of these? Well, it's a good point. It's going to be harder, but I still would say if you're going to start an influencer marketing program, you have to start it through seeding. You have to lay the foundations through seeding. So even if you're a product that has a massive cog on it, I would still recommend, starting your program through this philosophy and through this strategy, because you need to build it on giving, not asking, with relationships in mind and not transactionally, because that's the only way you're going to have a genuine community built out around you, your product, and your brand. So I get that pushback, but you still should start in this way if you care about influencer marketing as an acquisition channel for you and your business. But who is this going to be most, lucrative for and beneficial for? I would say brands that have products with, cogs that are below $40, just because they're able to send out much more. And obviously, as you've heard, your output is directly correlated to how many products you're actually sending out. So brands that have physical products within the D2C space, e-commerce space, that have cogs that can lend itself to mass seeding.
Okay, that's awesome. And have you ever seen it work for software or anything like virtual, like even digital products?
For sure. No, for sure. So we're actually, we've come alongside HubSpot and Klaviyo slightly in consultation type ways, where I'll give you two examples. So Klaviyo just did a really cool campaign, and Klaviyo, B2B email marketing platform. But basically, ever since the latest updates around cookies and third-party data and the privacy updates came out, they did a really cool campaign with seeding, where they found influencers in the space that were email marketers, just e-commerce marketers in general, quite honestly, though. And they sent out these seeding care packages, these seeding unboxing experiences, where they were filled with physical cookies to be representative of, the cookies updates. And these people, part of their community that were influencers, were so appreciative and found it to be so creative, and they were able to far surpass their goals. I'm not able to speak to this, but yeah, Val over at Klaviyo, if anybody knows who that is, said it far surpassed their goals within a couple of days of running this campaign. So when it comes to a service or a B2B company, you just need to think about what is a product that can reflect our service, our business, this campaign that we're running. And so that was a brilliant way to bring that to life. And then with HubSpot, they have they're really pouring into their media arm of their business. And so they have podcasts that are launching. And so they were curious about how they can get a podcast going. And Josh, hey, if you want to do this, come on, let's go. Basically, they were launching this podcast, and then to build that out and get influencers to rally around it, we ended up seeding them AirPods with a seeding card that basically just said, hey, we're coming out with this podcast. Basically everything we've said. We love who you are. We love your content you consistently put out. We think you'd actually really enjoy our podcast. Here's a set of headphones, a set of AirPods. Tune in, right? Something along those lines. But those are examples. Obviously, AirPods in this scenario are very reflective of what me and you are doing right now, and people tuning into it. So it reflects and represents their podcast very well and seamlessly. So I would just recommend, if it's a service, B2B, this is definitely still for you. You just need to get a little bit more creative in the products you're sending out.
That's awesome. And I think those are two perfect examples. And it kind of just goes to show that you don't have to be gifting the exact product that you're selling or that you're offering or a service. It could be something around that, where at least they're getting a physical product and they're unboxing it. And I've seen this work really well with cold outreach too. Instead of just getting an email or getting, an ad, or even just an envelope in the mail, you can actually give them really nice thick envelopes, nice big yellow envelopes that they're used to getting an Amazon package, right? Everyone wants to open an Amazon package. And if you have that open up and then in there a nice box with a nice unboxing experience, and that product has something to do with whatever your product or service is, I think you're right. That would work just as well. It just shows people that you're a little thoughtful or very thoughtful. You're not just sending them a card or something. It's very thoughtful. And then just, give them that card, the little inception of here's what we do. Here, you can talk about it if you want, or not even, I guess you wouldn't even say it, but here's just what we do. And if they feel then what happens, I guess, the psychology behind that, would you agree with this? They're just kind of wow, this is so awesome. I feel like I need to just share this with everyone. What is the psychology behind what do you think it is that makes them want to share that online?
Well, it's like the theory of like, what is it? Reciprocity.
Reciprocation. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Law of reciprocity. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Totally.
So when you go ahead and do something for somebody, naturally, they're going to want to do something in return for you. And this is just across the board. So when you start the relationship in the right way, no strings attached, not asking for anything, you've done something for them at this point, and they feel that. And so I think deep down psychologically, they feel as though they want to do something for you as well. And it just taps into like, again, you are just presenting yourself so differently than this marketplace that has exploited them, treated them like dirt, taken advantage of them. You are just coming out from a place of goodwill, starting a relationship, palms down, giving, not asking. And so, yeah, it just lends itself incredibly well to, getting a lot of honestly free value out of them and from them.
That's awesome. And it just kind of goes to show, right? Like if you're doing the right thing and you are actually being a good person, at the end of the day, things will come back, right? It's like good karma. You'll always keep going. Yeah.
Well, and it's a numbers game though. Like, like we're saying, like you have to reach out to 5 times the amount of people that you ultimately are going to send product to. It's a lot of people. And then you're going to see 30% of those people that you send product to end up posting. But when you think about the price breakdown of that, like that's 70% of people not posting, Josh, which is a lot of people still. But in the grand scheme, when you like think about the numbers of that, like again, if this is a $10 COG product, you're sending out 100, cool, $1,000 for 30 influencers posting 60 to 90 assets. Like that's crazy when you think about it in that through that lens. But yes, but if someone just said like 70% of people didn't post, damn, that's a lot of people. But in reality, it lends itself to so much. Where if you were to actually pay up front for this organic distribution from influencers, or to pay up front for 60 to 90 pieces of content, man, you're looking at a price point that's 30x what you ended up paying just through sending out your products.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that mindset of like you're saving money, not losing money, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
But it's a numbers game, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a lot of questions specifically around some of the tools, processes, platforms and stuff like that. So maybe this would be a good time for you to kind of jump into it, unless you have other stuff that you want to bring up before we jump into it. If there's like certain platforms that you're targeting on the social side of things, if there's new ones to look out for, but maybe this is a good time to kind of go through that. And then I can have some questions for you based around this whole process.
No, let's jump in. Let me know when you can see my screen. I'm sharing my screen now, but let me know if you can see it on your end.
Yeah, perfect. I can see.
So this is Tagger. Just to give you a brief introduction to Tagger. So this is a search engine for influencer identification. We use Tagger internally to identify the influencers that we're ultimately going to seed product to on behalf of the brands that we're partnering with internally. Tagger is about, for the identification piece of it, $1,500 to $2,000 per month, give or take. Don't exactly hold me to that, but it's between that price range, I believe. If that's out of budget, we're going to go through this Facebook Brand Clause Manager as well. This is a free influencer identification search engine. Not as robust, but again, it's free. It's Facebook. It'll continue to get better and better and improve. But to start, let's go through Tagger here. And again, if you're familiar with the influencer market space at all, you've probably heard of, Grin, Aspire IQ. We've vetted them all. And for identification purposes, this is the most robust platform on the market. And so just to give you a quick little tutorial, a part of our seeding campaigns, we predominantly reach out to influencers between 5K and 150K. And so you can filter through their following right here, how many followers they have across the board. Do they have a TikTok? TikTok is blowing up right now. Highly recommend seeding influencers on TikTok. We typically split our influencer outreach and our seeding efforts between TikTok and Instagram. We just see the best organic performance on those two platforms through seeding specifically. Just to touch on a quick point, we reach out to influencers between 5K and 150K for a variety of reasons. You can do this process with any and all influencer sizes, following wise. We just recommend this segment because at the end of the day, I would take 10 micros over one macro any day of the week. Like compare one macro with 1 million followers to 10 micros with 100,000 followers, I would take those 10 micros with 100,000 followers all day, every day. Why? On a per follower basis, they have higher engagement, higher reach, greater conversion rate, all of the above. Their followings are more niched and more in tune with the content they're putting out. And so when you compare, 10 influencers with 100,000 aggregating to 1 million followers, those 1 million followers are going to be reached in a greater capacity. They're going to engage in a greater capacity, and they're going to convert in a greater capacity in comparison to that one macro with 1 million. And not to mention, like, less macros are going to respond to your influencer seeding outreach. Less macros are going to post free of cost. They have managers, they have agents that get involved whose livelihood are literally contingent off them hustling you for as much money as possible. And then just, content wise, when you follow up for content usage rights, like we've talked about, with a macro, you're going to look at a cost and price point of, thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars to be able to repurpose that for 30 days. Or micro influencers, they're all pretty much flattered that you want to repurpose their content, and there's no drop off in the quality of it. They're all phenomenal video content creators, and that's what goes into this identification process as well. So a little background on why we reach out to the following sizes that we do. But at the end of the day, you can do it for anybody with any sort of follower count. That's just best practice that we've seen and the reasons why. So on a platform basis, this is how you can filter through it. YouTube, follower base, Twitter followers, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, SoundCloud, Pinterest, TikTok. Audience-wise, male, female, age, location, language, race, demographic similarity. This is like, if you have a fitness brand, you want to make sure their demographic, their followers are, similar to that of Nike. You can do that right here. Profile, individual brand, category, what category of influence are they within? Location, are they in the United States, in a different country? Affinity, similar scenario. Affinity is their actual persona, though, like the content they're putting out. So if you want the content that they're putting out to be most similar to Nike, you can do that here. Brand safety, this kind of just gets rid of people that may have content that uses foul language, or they're posting about content that may not be PG rated, PG-13. It's probably not R-rated content at the end of the day.
Right.
If you want to keep it brand safe. Keywords wise, what are they talking about? What are they posting about? Like health and wellness. You can, get people that are talking about health and wellness. You can get really specific with that. And as you saw, though, that went from 15.9 million to, I think it was like 21K. Yeah. So really good filtration process there.
And how does Tiger grab these profiles?
So it's been online for a long time, but basically their user base, apologize, I think Siri might have just heard me. Their user base is added by brands and agencies that are on here, as well as they have an onboarding team that just goes directly to influencers as well. But you can just add profiles. Like I add profiles in here all the time. Like I can add your Instagram on here. And so I think just they've been around for a long time. And so like every week, this will be 6 million profiles by next week. And every week, this number shoots up more and more and more and more. And then I don't understand completely how the back end works, but it's able to grab all the data and all the content of an influencer. So if you want to go actually into one of these profiles, like it's really in depth. So 83% of Cristiano Ronaldo's audience is authentic. So they're not like bots or fake followers, things like that. Goes into all of his platform, like all of his social media handles, the content he's posting, analytics, female, male, age, language, race, location, all of the good stuff. Who he's talking about, like what categories like he's talking about, who he's talking, like who he's mentioning. You can filter this through like brands as well to make sure, like if you're a brand looking to do a partnership with Cristiano Ronaldo, if you're Under Armour, hey, I want to make sure he's not, posting about Nike, and I want to make sure he's not posting about Adidas, because you want to make sure he's not posting about competitor brands. You can do that there. Who he has affinity with. So if like a micro influencer worked really well for you, organically as well as in paid media, you can go into their tagger profile and look at, who's most similar to that individual to find, even greater success and start scaling that. Then content-wise, all the content that they're posting, you can filter it through in a variety of different ways. You can add them to certain campaigns. So it's like an overview of how their platform works and what it looks like. Do you have any questions on that, Jay?
Yeah. So as soon as you find some people that you want to gift and you want to send some stuff to, what's the next process? So, we're finding all of these people that, first of all, it's awesome. I love how it's like handpicked and you're going to be adding them over time. Other agencies, other people are adding it. It's not just kind of like taking everyone from all over the place. I love that about this platform. Once you're like, okay, I want to start like making a short list, or like, I guess in this case, a long list. How do we start grabbing people and start putting them into our CRM? Or do you even call it a CRM?
So first, you just label it, whatever your campaign is called, Josh, and then you just go to your list by, these are all like a bunch of seeding campaigns, right, that we've done. Let's just say, we'll do Slick. So 59 profiles here for Slick. I would export this, have the list ready to go, ready for the brand's review. They have full approval on this list of influencers. So Slick is, by the way, like a motocross, like bike wash gear material. And so at that point, after identifying these influencers through Tagger or through Facebook Brands Collabs Manager, we input them into our Kynships. Well, basically, we do the reach out process first. And then out of, say we reach out to 500 influencers, like we've said, 100 influencers will opt in to receive product. We onboard them into our tool. This is just the Kynship seeding app, where basically you don't need to, do one zeroed out order at a time with your 3PL to send out all of this product. This is just a way to do it at scale, all at once, super seamlessly. This is honestly a product that was created by my partner Cody after his time at Kalo. Kalo is a silicone wedding ring where they literally sent out thousands of rings per month because their product cost was like 10 cents, 20 cents. So they could afford to send out millions, like quite literally. And so he had the biggest headache of a job constantly 24/7 being, with his 3PL, manually doing this one at a time, which is obviously a nightmare. So this product was created out of that place and will help you scale those efforts at a mass level. So we input them into here to send out the product. And then we use Arca, that's our outsourced partner for unboxing experiences. So we create 100 unboxing experiences, again, going back to the hypothetical scenario of 500 influencers getting reached out to, 100 influencers end up opting to receive product. We send them product through the Kynship seeding app. We build an unboxing experience through Arca with them. Pretty good pricing for 100 boxes. If you don't do like a really custom thing for yourself, you can get it between like 300 and 500 bucks for all 100 of those products being sent out. Pretty good price point in our opinion. We use them. They do phenomenal work. And then the 100 influencers that end up opting in to receive your product, we input them into Mighty Scout. And that's what this tool is. So Mighty Scout I would highly recommend getting on this right away if you're not, and it's super inexpensive. It's about $1 to $2 per profile. I think $2 per profile you input into the system. And so as soon as we have 100 influencers that opt in to receive the product, we put them into here. So we'd input 100 influencers at the end of the day, which would cost $200. So what does it do? So since we're not giving out, a UTM link or a tracking link or something for them to post where we can see when they post and how it performed, we get them onboarded into this tool, Mighty Scout, which in real time aggregates the content being posted about you and your brand and your product, and all the analytics associated with those posts. And my favorite piece of it, you're able to download the content right here and then. So just to give you like this example here, this is on behalf of Animal House Fitness. So we've onboarded and sent product to in this scenario. 1,463 products to creators, and then 912 of them have posted. So obviously this is a lot higher than the minimums that we communicated, right? This is, well over 50% of the people that receive product posted, where the typical average is 30%, or the typical minimum that we see is 30%. And then this is well over, 3 assets each, 2 to 3 assets each. This is above 3. So again, this is more of a case study. Don't look at this for expectations, but just to give you how this tool works and give you an example. This is just based off a $10 CPM, which is off right now a little bit. This is because there's no link, again, like I've said, but just do the math on 912 profiles posting this many posts going live by the average following rate. This is everybody that's posted. What's really cool about this product, Mighty Scout, and just the seeding philosophy, this person has posted 147 times, 92 times, 69 times, 55 times, 50, 48, 29, 24, 24, 24, 23, 23, 21, 21. What lens? This is after a year, right, of doing seeding for this brand, or almost a year, 6 months to a year, whatever it is. But when you reach out in a transactional way for a one-off post, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a one-off post. You're not going to get a genuine, authentic lover of your product. You're not going to get a genuine brand ambassador. So when you pay for a one-off post, that's what you're getting. When you seed product, no strings attached, you're identifying influencers that are authentic lovers of your product. And that lends itself to people posting like this many times. Incredible value. And then here's all their media being posted in real time. So like today's the 23rd, I believe, August 23rd. So in real time, this content's coming in every day at this point. 23rd, 22, 23rd, 23rd. As you see, there's just compounding value to it. Like 10 assets will come in per day ultimately. I'm trying to click more, view more here, but it's not loading quite quickly. And then again, the value here is like, boom, I can download this content right here and now. Bang, and it's right here. Boom.
There's the video file. That's awesome.
It's incredible. So it's a quick tutorial of Mighty Scout as well. Love this tool. Do you have any questions here, Jay?
Yeah, man. So we're getting this content, but it's hyper specific to the brand. So is it just saying, hey, only if they tag us or if they use certain hashtags? How is it knowing that they're actually mentioning them?
Yeah, so you can input hashtags, phrases, ats, but at the end of the day, it does pull in all of their content. If you wanted to showcase, like we're just having this media grid here, showcase content that, in this example, tagged Animal House Fit or set a couple different lines that are input into the system to collect that content and aggregate that content if that's mentioned. But this system, Mighty Scout, collects every asset that they post across their socials if you want to deep dive all of it to like double check if they post about you. But typically these guys are tagging or are referencing a tagline that you put into the system to scrape or collect that content. But they do have the ability to check everything they've posted over the last month since they received your product if you want to deep dive that.
That's cool. So just in case they didn't tag, they didn't do a hashtag,
you can still get that
video or something. Yeah, that's perfect. Yep, and I love how you can just automatically download the content from there. But I think you're just showcasing the power of this here. Like you said, it's not about just the one-off, one and done. Here, I'll pay you $100 to post this and use our affiliate code or something. It's like, here's this thing, and they're going to love it. They're going to keep posting it just like they would with any product that they use every day.
Right. Like this is ridiculous. This guy's tagged him 147 times. Just absolutely wild. And what's cool about this, man, like this guy, Knees Over Toes guy, he's been blowing up. And Joe Rogan is actually a big fan of this guy. And, as a byproduct of that, this brand, Animal House Fitness, has been talked about organically on Joe Rogan's podcast for free 3 times. Because we have influencers influencing the influencers through these seeding efforts. It's unbelievable what has happened when you can just continue to seed on a month-to-month basis, watch the fruit that comes from it. It will lend itself to a ton of value.
That is unreal, man.
I need to undo the screen here. There it is.
Taylor, thanks so much for sharing that, man. That is unreal. So what I can do too for anyone just listening, or some people who are like, what the heck did we just go through? Obviously, this is recorded. You can go through anytime you want, but I'll list all of the tools in the show notes for all these things that people want to check out. I'm going to have a bunch of resources, so we'll have everything linked. And for those who are just listening right now, hopefully you can follow along. That segment will be on YouTube as well. So that link will also be in the description on Spotify, wherever you're listening to this on. So you'll be able to see the video, and you can see mine and Taylor's beautiful faces while we're speaking about this. And yeah, man, so we can kind of like keep going on this. I really want to jam out on this. I think we have this awesome, actionable kind of system that people can start following now, which is incredible. So I want people to literally go back, listen to this, go try these out for yourself. Like, honestly, go and try it. And Taylor, do you have any kind of advice for anyone who's going to try it for the first time? Maybe they want to do it in-house. They have a small brand. Even for me, like we talked about this before on one of our previous calls, I'm wearing the shirt right now. Anyone watching on YouTube, the Longboi shirt. So like, these are kind of things where like we'll be sending out. Like, I want your advice on like what we could do to make sure that this is, we're going to get the most out of it.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll just go through a couple additional details to make sure this is a big success. Yeah, my end goal here is for sure 100%, Josh included, all you owners of brands and all you marketers, go put this to the test and try it. When you're reaching out to influencers, I would reach out over DM and email. We have a 5 follow-up flow that we have internally that we use. Don't be afraid to reach out more than once. If you just reach out once, you may not get that 30% opt-in that I'm alluding to. That 30% opt-in, or that 20% opt-in to receive your product, comes from a place of, hey, we have 5 follow-up flows built in, where we're reaching out over email, reaching out over DM, we're following up with them, saying, hey, just wanted to follow up again. Just to reiterate, this is a no strings attached gift. We expect nothing out of it, nothing in return. Just re-emphasizing that in the follow-up messages. You still don't get anything back, a comment on the TikTok post, or a comment on their Instagram post saying, hey, check, your DMs for brand opportunity. That's what those 5 follow-up flows entail. So I would do that. Make sure you have that in place in order to take advantage of this as much as possible, in order to get as much opt-in as possible. You definitely get an unboxing experience dialed in. If you don't, that definitely lends itself to greater post rates and greater content creation, and just a better impression, honestly, on the influencer, which lends itself to a better relationship, which lends itself to greater output. So definitely get that dialed in and set up. And then another thing I would just suggest, like after 3 months of seeding, if you do it at the scale that we do it, you've reached out to, again, we reach out to 500 per month. You've reached out to 1,500 influencers. You've sent product to 20% of them, 300 influencers, and then you've seen, 90 influencers post 2 to 3 assets each, 180 to 270 assets. You've seen how it performed organically, and you've seen how it's performed in paid media. At that point, this is where we do recommend engaging in the pay for post model here and only here. After these 9, you can dissect and analyze, who are the top performers out of these 90 influencers, and, choose 5 to 10. And at that point, try to get ongoing content from them and try to get ongoing activations from them organically, posting and then giving you content to repurpose into paid media. And as you do that, you're just building out your brand ambassador program, and just do that every 3 months or so. You can add 5 to 10 people into that community that are doing stuff for you every month. Creating content for you and organically posting. But all the while, make sure you're seeding every month as well, simultaneously to that. Seed, identify your authentic lovers of your product, and then identify the top performers out of those authentic lovers, and then just continue to do that. It'll lend itself to a lot of value for you and your brand.
Awesome. And just for people, just as a reminder, seeding is the gifting phase, right? Seeding is just seeding the product to them and just giving it to them.
Yeah. And then again, once you identify those top performers, how to engage with them in that pay for post. At that point, then you're just, at that point, you can get them at like half the cost as well, Josh. If an influencer, anybody that's done work in the influencer space, if they actually love your product and your brand, and you built that relationship on giving, not asking, and in the right way, they're going to do things for half of their market rates, half the price. And so since you built it in that way, this person's already posted for you for free several times. They've granted usage rights for free. And so now you're going back to them and it's like, oh, wow, now they want to honor me, after we built this relationship. They actually do want to pay me. They're going to be willing to do a lot more for you at cheaper rates than they would for anybody else.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. And also, so you mentioned like these follow-up flows, like there's obviously specific wording you've mentioned throughout this of like to make sure that this is a success. There's very specific steps, and I'm sure there's a lot more like tools and hacks and stuff. And this is something you guys teach, right? So obviously people can hire you guys as an agency to help out, but you guys also have a course, right? To help people if they want to do it themselves, right?
Free plug. This was unplanned. What a guy. I love it.
Of course, man.
Yeah. So first and foremost, we're an agency. We would love to come alongside you in that way as a partner if you're looking for that. But yes, we do have a course. And just transparently speaking, we came out with the course because we wanted to be able to provide value to anybody and everybody. And we typically service brands. We have a couple household name brands like M&M's that we work with, Wilson Football. But our predominant bread and butter is between 5 million and 30 million. E-commerce D2C brands. But we wanted to create a course, like Josh just alluded to be able to serve anybody and everybody looking to win within the acquisition channel of influencer marketing. But it's incredibly robust. A lot of what you just heard on this podcast is discussed in even greater depth and even greater detail within that course. It's probably covered like half the section of talking points. The other half is about how to implement this into paid media incredibly effectively for scale.
Yeah, no, man, of course. I mean, this is exactly what I wanted to get into here, where it's like you have these sort of like 3 tiers to be able to help people. I mean, the highest tier is like you're going to work directly with them. You guys are going to do all the legwork. You're going to be doing all the day-to-day for them. And that's going to be big brands. Like you have to obviously pay for that. Like that's an agency thing. And then the course, like you guys are like, hey, here's exactly what we do. We'll teach you how to do it if you want to do it in-house. If you're like below 5 million, below 10 million, whatever. And then if you're just getting started like myself with Longboi, like we don't even have the budget for that. Maybe you want to get the course, but you're like, hey, like here's how you can get started. Like I want to show you that it actually works. It's seeding in this best way. So you're gifting. And this is what kind of wanted to ask early on. It's like, does this work with like content? Does it work with something that is not exactly a physical product where you're gifting myself here and everyone listening the knowledge of how to actually do this? You're giving us a gift of knowledge, right? So it goes from there. Then, they're like, okay, like this actually does work. Like, where do I go next? Like Kynship. Like, obviously, this is where you guys go. So I love your philosophy, and clearly you bring this into your own business and your own philosophies, not just with clients. And that's exactly what I wanted to bring around here. And I love it.
Yeah, and we'd be happy to provide you guys with 20% discount. I can give that to Josh after this as well. This is all spontaneous on the fly, but we'd be happy to give you guys
you have to generate that code after. Yeah.
But yeah, transparently speaking, man, like we do apply our no strings attached philosophy to our business. We want to give out for free exactly what we do and how we do it. Like on podcasts like this, obviously our course costs money and our service costs money, but I'm giving you guys enough, honestly, to go do this and go try it without purchasing the course on your own, and to see if it works for you and your brand. And transparently speaking, we know if you go do this in this way, you will find success in a way that you guys are happy with and that you want to scale up. And if I'm just being transparent, I know that that's going to take a lot of time. That's going to take a team. And if you want to do that, the minute you hire 2 employees for this, my business is cheaper and we're going to be able to scale it in greater ways. So yeah, we want to seed you guys no strings attached with this information on how to do it, because we know probably in the long run, you'll ultimately come back, we'll partner up. And that's honestly the dream for us as well. We want to come alongside you and you guys' business. And we do have this intent in the back of our minds. But nonetheless, we do want to provide you guys with a win.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I think it's the way to go, right? Because I'm sure there's other people that would maybe give like 10% of the knowledge, people will fail. They'll leave a bad taste
Open
in their
book.
mouth. They'll be like, yeah,
Open book.
like, this doesn't work. Just want to show you that it works. So now we can go back into questions. I still have a few kind of end questions for you because I know we still have we have a little bit more time here. So for me, what I really want to know too now is like the timing on here. And the reason I bring this up, I'm also going to link this in here, but you had a post on a playbook for Black Friday coming up. So this is going to, like, we're doing this in August, but like people are thinking about Black Friday already. Like you kind of should be. So when there's these big events, whether it's like, hey, you're going to be launching a new product, whether it's in January, February, Black Friday coming up in November, or Christmas coming up, what does the timeline look for something like this when you want to start building out this campaign?
Yeah, so I had a specific thing in mind for Black Friday, but let me just go through the timeline of like a 500, influencer reach out seeding campaign. So let's say we start influencer outreach today. We would do, or first it goes influencer identification. It's going to take some time to identify 500 influencers, or however many influencers you're going to identify to reach out to. You want to make sure they're a brand fit on the persona side, the content they're putting out. You want to make sure they're a demographic fit, the audience that they have following them. And then just as important as that, like we've said on this podcast segment already, their video content creation ability. Those 3 boxes need to be checked off. That takes time. We typically allocate a week to that because it is a very white glove approach. You don't want to just type in, all the quantitative data into Tagger, into Facebook Brand Clouds Manager that makes this person a brand fit for you. You need to, do those things. It spits out a massive list, but then you need to go into every single one of those profiles to make sure that they are a great video content creator, because that is what it's going to lend itself to organic success and paid media success. So there is a little bit of a white glove approach there that takes time. So dedicate a week to that. It may take a little bit more than that, depending on how much you're trying to scale this up. Identifying more than 1,000 influencers may take more than a week, depending on the person that you have grinding on this thing. And then week 2, we would dedicate to outreach. So that 5 follow-up flow, getting as many people onboarded to receive the product as possible. Week 2, week 3, we're sending out the product. Make sure you do ARCA, the unboxing experience, far in advance, like starting right away when you start identifying people, because it takes a little bit of time to get your brand colors and your branding built out onto the unboxing experience and then shipped to your 3PL to send it out to influencers. But week 2, week 3, we're sending out product. Week 3, content's being posted organically, following up for usage rights. Week 4, we're getting that content, into 9x16, 1x1, captioning it all, creating iterations, getting it ready and prepped and launched into paid media efforts.
Okay, that's awesome. So, I mean, this, like you said, it can work for any kind of timeline, whether it's Black Friday. Just keep that in mind. Like, it takes time for these things. Kind of, it's not something you can be like, okay, like a week before, let's start reaching out to people.
No way.
Yeah, like we're talking like months here, right? You really want to be prepared.
Right, exactly right.
Yeah, cool, man. So for you right now, what are the channels that you're really looking into? So you mentioned TikTok as sort of an up and coming one. Is that sort of one of the ones that you have in your mind? Because for me, like as a TikTok creator, some of these podcast posts go, like my clips of these podcasts will go on TikTok for me. So I'm on TikTok quite a bit as a consumer as well. And the one thing that blew my mind with that, I guess that channel more than YouTube, more than Facebook, is there will be times where I'll be scrolling and I'll watch a video, and then like a minute into it, I'll be like, oh shit, that was an ad. I didn't even realize that was a paid ad. And then there's stuff where you're scrolling, it's completely organic and it doesn't seem like an ad. It's just a great thing. But even when it's a paid post, I had no idea I was looking at an ad because it's so like inconspicuous in like the bottom corner. And exactly like you've been alluding to here, the content was made for that platform. It doesn't seem like it was an ad agency that made this polished video or, some weird like animation that was put into TikTok. It looks like a TikTok, and then you're scrolling. It's like, oh, here's another TikTok. But guess what? That was unpaid ads. So I think this works extremely well for TikTok. Is this what you've been seeing? Is this one of the new fan favorites? I'd love to hear about some of these channels.
Yeah, so like I said previously, we typically split our outreach between TikTok and Instagram. So if we have 500 influencers that we're identifying, reaching out to, we'll do 250 to TikTok, 250 to Instagram. They both have the most advantageous benefits to them when it comes to seeding. Influencers, and a variety of reasons, give you some. Influencers on Instagram and TikTok are most likely to post free of cost when tapping into seeding specifically. Like when you seed YouTubers for the purposes of them trying to get to post on YouTube, it's less likely. YouTubers, their content that they post less frequently, right? They post a lot less frequently. And the content that YouTubers put out are long form, and typically every minute of that video is planned out, mapped out, sponsored, paid for. It's a very transactional platform, I would say, where seeding to Instagrammers and people on TikTok, these people are posting, it's like content throughout their day, constantly being posted, right? And so a lot of it is the most authentic and organic content that you're going to see. And it just lends itself to greater post rates if you send product to them. Now, if you have a YouTuber in mind that you want to build a relationship with, and the YouTube is a great channel for you and it works well, this is not me saying just don't go after YouTubers. Most of the influencers that we see product to have a YouTube page. And a lot of these individuals are the best video content creators at the end of the day, but they have a TikTok and they have an Instagram as well. And we seed them to have them post there first. And if they become one of those top performers that we've discussed, when we go back and actually contractualize them, that would entail a YouTube post at that time. So Instagram and TikTok lends itself to greater post rates, free of cost on your guys' behalf. TikTok is super interesting, just from like the capacity of content to go viral is absurd. Like on social media platforms, typically algorithms limit, your content, if you post it, to reach 10% of your audience, right? If you have 100,000 followers, it'll reach 10,000 followers, and then 2 to 3% will actually engage with your content. TikTok, you can far surpass, not only reaching 100,000, like 100% of your follower base, but transcend it tenfold, 100-fold. The virality capabilities of their algorithm is insane, absolutely insane. So when you have 30 influencers posting on TikTok, it's inevitable one of them is going to go absolutely viral. Like you have a high likelihood of one of those posts going viral, which is incredible. And it hasn't been a thing on the organic side in a long time. So TikTok is absolutely a must if you're going to be seeding. Instagram stories is great too, because they actually have the ability to click out directly to the website, which makes it a lot better for conversions. It's just immediate, where they have that swipe up link attached to their stories and they can go directly out to the website. I'm sure all the other social media platforms will have that feature soon enough, but for the time being, Instagram stories is a great placement as well from seeding efforts. So that's why we typically split it down the middle.
Yeah, totally. And like you said before, you're really focusing on video content. Like, have you seen this work with Twitter or LinkedIn or even Pinterest?
So B2B wise, Twitter's a great one. LinkedIn's a great one. And a lot of that content's obviously written, or they post pictures with it in tandem. You can do videos as well, but it's just less likely, right? And so B2B, like Klaviyo's campaign that I alluded to earlier with the cookies, that was a Twitter campaign. All the influencers that were posting about Klaviyo and their unboxing experiences with the cookies that they received was on Twitter specifically. So we've seen that be great for B2B, but for D2C e-commerce brands with physical products, I would recommend best practice, Instagram, TikTok, split it down the middle. But again, any social media platform that you want to activate these influencers on, I would just DM them on that platform. So if you're going after LinkedIn influencers, not only reach out to them over email, but reach out to them via LinkedIn, let them know, hey, this is where we are interested in you. If it's over YouTube, reach out to their YouTube email that they list. If it's on TikTok, reach out on the Creator Marketplace. If it's on Instagram, reach out via DM. If it's on Facebook, reach out over Messenger. Reach out on the communication outlet of the platform you're looking to activate them on, this is the way to do it regardless of the platform you're looking to activate them on. You need to start the relationship through giving, not asking, through seeding. And that will lend itself to the relationship with the output you're looking for with these influencers.
Awesome. And do you have, so when you're actually listing them all out and you're reaching out, do you have a certain CRM or a tool that you use to track? Like, I don't know, Excel sheet is probably the worst way to do it, to be honest. So do you have a favorite of yours that you guys use?
Excel.
It is.
Just kidding. No, but pretty similar though. We just use Google Sheets at the end of the day. But you can use anything. Right? That I'm giving you. This is the most cost-effective way. But our CRM, our reach outs are tracked through Mighty Scout, right? Like I've said in the beginning, like everybody that we reach out to, well, not everyone we reach out to. Everyone that opts in to receive product is then input into our seeding app, as well as input into Mighty Scout. So we're tracking everybody that opts in at the end of the day. And then kind of, I would just keep track of, if you want to be like hyper thorough, never mind. It's in Tagger. We have a list of, I'm sorry guys, I'm spitballing here. It's a little bit everywhere, but we don't have like a central place. You can on Sheets if you like, but all 500 of the influencers we reach out to are within Tagger on a list that is labeled, categorized. So all 500 influencers that I reach out to are in there. All influencers that receive, that opt in to receive the product are input into our seeding app as well as into Mighty Scout. And then everyone that ends up posting is in Mighty Scout. And then you can export reports on all three of these platforms, all four of these platforms.
Okay, that makes total sense. Absolutely. And then with Tagger, you're saying if it's someone or here's an example. This is what I want to bring it to. With Longboi, we're going to be focusing on dogs. And people think it's absolutely nuts that dogs have viral and influencer accounts on Instagram. But it's true. It's massive. Doesn't have to be humans, people. It could be pets too. So
for sure,
they might not be in Tagger, right? We can go in and we can add their name. We can add their profiles and it will just, it'll pull everything.
Yeah. You can import the profiles and it'll take about an hour to collect and aggregate all the analytics associated with that account. But Tagger has a ton of pets and dogs and dog owners within their platform. Most do. The pet space and dog space is a huge influencer marketing space, and we're actually servicing one brand called Meet Kitsy right now that's in the dog space as well, and worked with like Pet Socks in the past. Plenty of pets and dog space influencers specifically within the influencer marketing space.
Oh man, I absolutely love that. Okay, that's cool. So that's good to know. So people, it doesn't have to be just humans, it could be animals too, which is absolutely insane. It's just like for you, like when you're thinking about like a company that comes to you and they want to work with you directly, what are your first thoughts? We're like, okay, like what are the first steps that we're going to go into? How are we going to start thinking about how to approach this? Is it the same every time? Is it just similar, or do you think about something specific every time?
Well, it's an incredibly similar process, but at the end of the day, it's completely unique to the brand, what they're about. This process works best when the brand has a story. When it's a good product and it's a good brand, like any channel, right? When the brand is a solid brand, it has a story that attracts its customers and attracts its viewers, listeners, everything. It builds community in of itself, and people want to be a part of it. And when it's a solid product, and if it's not just a one-off purchase, and there's great repeat purchase rate, there's great LTV, seeding will be incredible for you. It'll work phenomenally, and it will be something that you do on a monthly basis. And it makes our job, honestly, super easy as an agency partner, because your product speaks for itself at that point. And all we need to do is get it in the right people's hands, and then the rest is history. These people will end up posting every month. They'll be genuine product adopters. Like, only thing you need to get checked off to get these people to post and make this campaign a great success is, does this influencer actually need my product? Does it solve a problem for them? Is it a brand that they would want to be a part of? Our community, something that they'd be proud to represent. If you can answer that as yes, this is going to be a massive win. You just need to make sure that your product and your brand is ready for this. It's a great launch strategy as well. And a brand can be ready for this at launch. And I would recommend having it ready for that. But having that all dialed in, your brand story, your product, what you're sending to these influencers needs to be dialed in a way where they're going to fall in love with it. And if you can make sure that happens, this will be a massive win.
Beautiful, man. I think that's a perfect way to kind of put a bow on this. So I do have some final questions for you. The first one being really is like, what do you see as like the future of influencer marketing? You just mentioned like cookies being killed off and a lot of these tracking tools being killed off. So it really seems like this organic way is the way forward. What do you see as the future, and where do you see, for me specifically, I want to know how you would see something like virtual and augmented reality being brought into this, or actually rather influencer marketing being put into virtual and augmented reality, and also in the crypto blockchain space. I don't know how much you are into that, but I know that you're on Twitter, and it's pretty hard to be on Twitter without some sort of blockchain or crypto news out in your face. So I'm wondering how you're thinking about that as like technologies evolve.
Yeah. Future as of right now, just in the immediate, to counteract the privacy updates in iOS 14, influencer marketing is the perfect channel. To counteract the iOS 14 update, two things brands need to keep in mind is, one, how can I reallocate some money off of Facebook and not being so over-indexed on it? Beautiful. Influencer marketing should definitely be one of those channels for you. And two, how do I continue to, win on Facebook ads and paid media platforms across the board? And that's through creative. From what we've seen, by the way, a lot is it's an attribution problem when it comes to the iOS 14 update on Facebook's dashboard. Across $250 million in ad spend, having visibility into that, we've seen that it's more so just an attribution visibility problem, where performance on the ad account dashboard is down 40 to 50%. But when you look at their revenue, top line revenue in comparison to the ad spend we're spending, their MER and blended ROAS before and after this update affecting the visibility into that dashboard has remained the same, and their GA last click remained the same. So what does that mean? That means this is an attribution issue in comparison to a performance and effective issue. Now, for some brands, effectiveness has gone down slightly here and there. At the end of the day, the name of the game to counteract this thing, if Facebook becomes a little bit less effective in its ability to target the right individual and conversion rate ends up going down a little bit, it's creative, and it always has been that to counteract issues that have presented themselves within paid media accounts. And influencers can provide creative at mass scale with top performing content. There's a massive arbitrage opportunity around their content creation abilities and getting very cost effective rates with the amount of content that you're able to get from them. So counteracting this, organic distribution wise, reallocating some dollars off of Facebook, influencers, great channel, mass distribution, great rates through seeding specifically, and then counteracting Facebook's issues that they're facing because of these privacy policies, creative, and you get mass creative from influencers. So in the immediate, counteracting this, influencer seeding definitely knocks out two birds with one stone: content, creative, organic distribution. So that's one thing. And then when it comes to augmented reality as well as cryptocurrency, influencer marketing remains the same across the board for any industry. Within any industry, on behalf of any product, any service, there's always going to be influencers in that space that influence, quote unquote, or have clout over the end viewing audience. And that's going to be the case for B2B. That's going to be the case for D2C. That's going to be the case within augmented reality. That's going to be the case within cryptocurrency. NFTs are going to be huge as well within the influencer space, already are. A lot of this is already kind of blowing up and taking off.
Totally. And I think with the creative too, you mentioned like with augmented reality, it's just going to be the creative. Like they're just going to have more tools, like even with an iPhone, like you have even in TikTok. We were just bringing up to TikTok. Most of these videos that go viral are augmented reality videos. Like we're seeing all these crazy filters and funny shit happening with people distorting their faces, and that's just augmented reality. So maybe you're right. Maybe it just doesn't change. Maybe it's just a matter of them, like, just leaving them to their own devices. You play with the new tools that's available. If they're using Web3 technologies and blockchains to distribute it, whether it's now the crypto and blockchain people going into Discord channels instead of influencing on, I don't know, TikTok or something, they're just going to go to their own platform. It's just going to where they aggregate.
The platforms will change. The industry will remain the same, and how it operates and how it functions and how it works. At the end of the day, within any space, there will always be an influencer influencing people on that platform, within that industry, within that space. How they do that, I may have said that wrong. How it functions and how they do that will be different based on, the tools, like you're saying, of that platform. But yeah, it's just gonna be individuals that are able to be creative, that gets people to engage and take action. That is the power of influence, and that's what influencer marketing is all about. And that's been a thing. This isn't anything new. That's been a thing since the beginning of time. Like gladiators were the first influencers on behalf of like olive oil in Rome way back when, 2000 plus years ago. It's not a new thing. Just the platforms have changed where people are influencing others.
Totally. It's just the psychology of influence. So were there books or anything that you would recommend? I know there is literally a book called Influence. Were there other ones that you have come across, or other maybe blog posts or articles that you've come across that like really helped you out to kind of understand the space?
Oh, unfortunately not. A lot of trial and error over the last 10 years for myself, ultimately getting into this refined process. Books wise, haven't come across a great book within the influencer marketing space. But quite honestly, there is just a lot of wrong information out there about influencer marketing. So I guess I would answer this question in a different way. Be careful with the information that you take in with the quote unquote thought leaders within the influencer marketing space, because a lot of the time the wrong things have been preached, leading people to say influencer marketing is a scam, or to say influencer marketing doesn't work for your brand specifically. But it does. It does work. You just need to go about doing it the right way. So if anything, this is biased, but I would honestly just recommend re-listening to this podcast, take the step-by-step notes and implement it, and see what happens.
For sure. And I'll also link your Twitter profile, because you tweet some interesting threads and articles. I'm pretty sure you post some links to the articles you guys write. So a lot of those things I kind of mentioned with like articles, like you guys do a great job. And you specifically had a few awesome threads, and I'll link them all in the description for anyone who wants to kind of dive into that. I think you had one on like the playbook, you had one on like tools, and then a few other ones. So I'll find those kind of top ones, and I'll link them as resources. So those are awesome resources to get started for anyone who wants to dive deeper.
Yeah, amazing. And my DMs are open on Twitter as well. Feel free to reach out to me there if you have any questions. Happy to help. Happy to jump on a call. Regardless, I won't treat that like a sales call either. Happy to jump on, answer any questions, concerns that you have about running this internally. Just reach out to me over Twitter, and we'll set something up.
Awesome. And I have two final questions for you, man. First one is, if you had a $1 billion advertising budget to put anywhere you want, do whatever you want, what would it be about, and what would it say?
Oh, relational with a greater sign, transactional on the other side.
That's actually key. There you go. And that, you know what, that really, really sums up our whole conversation here. And, I mentioned it like halfway through here.
That's why I put the billion behind.
That's exactly it. It's relational over transactional relationships. And that is huge. That is awesome, man. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I love that.
Appreciate you guiding me to that point to ultimately get what you're looking for here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to rephrase that. I want to do something different.
Took the question a little bit down the wrong way there.
But hey, it works. It works really well. So don't worry. And man, so my final question, the world's kind of like opening up now. You're traveling right now. I guess we should have prefaced that. You're on the road. You're in a hotel room. You can finally start doing stuff. What are you most excited about? Like work or life?
You guys can't tell that. You guys can't tell that my bed's not made right now. But yeah, what am I most excited about now that things are opening up? Honestly, I love being outdoors and outside and just doing things. So everything, and I love being with people. And so just everything that's opening up and, getting back to a little bit more of normal is awesome. Getting out of the house, just I love going to the beach. I love being outdoors. I love being outside. A lot of these things were able to happen amidst COVID, but again, being able to go to restaurants, going out with friends, spending time with family and people outside of just the house, 6 feet apart, is awesome. It's something I'm looking forward to and doing.
That's awesome. And anything within the business that's like you're really excited about that you're able to talk about?
Honestly, just doing this, getting the word out as much as possible around seeding, because as you know, people are typically used to the pay for post model and trying that out and as like the thing that they do to see if influencer marketing works for them. So what we are really focused on and honing in on is just getting the word out about seeding and changing the narrative of how to go about winning and scaling influencer market success for brands. And so that's really where a majority of our focus lies. That's what we're trying to get people excited about, get people testing, proving it out to them. But yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time and like being really generous here with your knowledge and sharing everything and speaking with me and answering my crazy $1 billion questions. So, man, this is awesome. Is there anything else you want to plug? Anywhere else you want people to direct? You mentioned your Twitter. Is there anywhere else you want to direct people to before we close up?
Yeah, check out my Twitter and then check out my partner's Twitter as well. He posts a lot of valuable content, just like myself. His name is Cody Wittick. And then just check out our website as well, kynship.co. And then again, we can give you a discount to our course as well if any listeners are curious about that, to check it out.
Yeah, that'd be perfect, man. Well, I think, there's going to be a lot of actionable things that people can take out of this. I really urge anyone listening to obviously go back. And if you can, go to YouTube and watch at least the section. I'll have everything sort of timestamp in YouTube so you can see where we started the screen sharing. We can kind of at least get a high level view of some of the tools that Taylor spoke about. And then you can actually start implementing this yourself and getting some early wins. So Taylor, thank you so much, man. This has been an honor and I really appreciate you taking the time to be on here.
Thanks for having me, man. The honor is mine.